My name is Veronica Terriquez, and I'm an associate professor of sociology at UC Santa Cruz. I'm helping lead the Central Valley Freedom Summer Participatory Action Project, which engages UC Merced and UC Santa Cruz students in grassroots campaigns, voter education, and participatory action research. Stand up if you're concerned about the representation of young people like yourselves in the electoral process. In addition to doing voter education and outreach, the students will be addressing and researching topics such as immigrant rights, health disparities, environmental justice, education equity, gun reform, and other racial justice issues. My hope is that this project will strengthen the links between the UC system and Central Valley communities.
This movement is important because it's led by young people for young people to build up an electorate that represents the communities that need it most.
For most people, Bakersfield is just a city people drive right on through as they head to LA or San Diego or one of the bigger cities. But it's a very important city and a city that needs a lot of help, as well as other cities within the Central Valley. It's the #1 most illiterate city in the nation, the #1 most polluted city in the nation, and the #1 worst city in the nation for Latinos seeking higher education. With over a population of 50%, only 5% of those Latinos have a bachelor's degree or higher. I think we need to go back to these communities and reverse these statistics that we're known for. And that's why I'm involved in the Central Valley Freedom Summer.
My parents have worked in agriculture for a very long time, and just like the majority of the people in my community, that work in agriculture, they have been exposed to pesticides for most of their lives. Many of them are immigrants and aren't able to vote, but their children, the youth like me, are able to vote. And through this project, I really hope that they learn that they have a voice and are able to engage in voting.
So the reason why I'm involved in the Central Valley Freedom Summer is because for a long time I felt this need to escape my community because I felt like there was no opportunity there for me, and I felt like I felt stuck there. There's so many issues going on. A lot of young folks feel like I need to leave to be successful. There's that narrative that happens there. So I think at the core of Central Valley Freedom Summer is to help students who are from the Central Valley bridge back to their community.
Stockton has a rich legacy of Filipino and Filipino American organizing through farm workers such as Larry Itliong and Philip Veracruz, who had a big role in founding like the UFW and just organizing for equality and their own dignity and rights for Filipinos and Filipino Americans within this country. And my own organizing my goal with it is to really build on that legacy, and that's what I'm trying to do here in Central Valley Freedom Summer.
This project is inspired by the work of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and Freedom Summer 1964. In addition to that, we're taking lessons learned from the UFW, the work of the Dolores Huerta, Cesar Chavez, and the students who helped them out in the 70s and 80s to boycott grapes and to support the farm worker movement. So we're trying to build on a legacy of organizing in the Central Valley, in communities of color, and also research the process.
We recently suffered a drought that lasted 5 years. This drought was very prevalent in the east side of town, where people did not have any tap water, groundwater. Their wells were dried out, so they really didn't even have water to drink, and even less to shower. And people had been accustomed to having huge tanks in front of their houses to refill their water, so it kind of became normalized. They kind of adjusted to not having the water. And I think that that's something that's really tragic that people had to do, because water is a basic necessity. It is something that is like a right for everybody, and they lacked this right. This issue in my community really inspired me to try to get people involved, young people and people who are not traditionally aware of injustices in their community.
Because Philip Veracruz, said in his kind of last years here on Earth was that the youth are the kind of the future of our movement. And I truly do believe that by engaging with youth and convincing them of their own agency within their communities, and that's what this project provides, is a medium for youth to become engaged and care about the community and know that they are the future and they have a role in shaping it.
So rather than have youth sit around and complain that they have nothing to do all day, we convince legislators to invest in youth, to create recreation centers, to invest in our libraries so they have more activities for our youth, and to really ensure that our communities have power and agency to create a better world for the world that they live in themselves.
1 in 4 children are being diagnosed with asthma, and throughout their lifetime in Fresno County, it leads to the progression of lung cancer. And from that, it leads to shorter life expectancy within the community as a whole.
My grandmother passed away about 4 years ago from lung cancer. I believe that a huge factor in her getting lung cancer was due to the working conditions that she was exposed to. My grandmother worked in a tomato plantation where there was a lot of dust and pesticides, and this is a reality to many of the farm workers and the people who live and work in the Central Valley.
I know that within all these problems, not just within my own community, but communities within the Central Valley, that we as young people can make a difference within this movement and create change within our communities, which then can better serve the interests of all the people within the community instead of a select few.
I believe that awareness of these issues could really inspire people to want to create change, to want to better and create safer conditions for our workers and for our community.
I want to give people a voice and let them know that there are resources and we can come together and make a change.